I'm Joe Robina of American Cane Self-Defense for Cane Masters, and today we're talking 3 cane self-defense applications that you should avoid. Let's jump right into this. So the first one is whenever you're going to use the cane, you shouldn't be alerting your opponent to the move you're going to make. That's called telegraphing. So these big movements that you tend to go into when the adrenaline is pumping and you go into these gross motor movements, you have to train. That's the key word. Train yourself to make the smaller, the sharper movements where you don't telegraph. And let me show you what the problem with this is. And Vanessa's going to help me out here today. But we're getting in a situation, maybe your cane even comes up. The minute you start doing this, you're showing that you're about to spring into action. And on top of that, if your movement is, look at this, look at my movement as I come up and I do this big wind up, and she can just go ahead and catch that. Even if she were throwing a strike and I go to move, right, I come big, she can potentially just move, and go ahead and do that. So I don't need to be making those kinds of big movements. Train yourself to make your shots and be effective, really tight. And here's the key. Keep the movements in your guard zone, that imaginary rectangle here that has these 4 corners and your center line, so that I'm actually using a dandy of a cane master cane, so that means no contact, because I'm going to get in trouble if I do that. So look, these movements, if she were to move, even if my cane were down, and a strike comes up, I am able to catch it here tight in that guard zone to strike the limb and still be able to move from there, right, with power shots. And by the way, when you see me doing, notice that I'm striking where I'm striking that limb that was coming in, maybe a double strike, maybe here. Take out that shin, you win. I don't necessarily have to go to the head. As a matter of fact, that is an absolute last resort. American Cane Self-Defense, ACSD, does not teach that. Neither does Cane Master. So you're coming in here, pop, that would keep everything tight in your guard zone rather than telegraphing. That would be the first one. The second one to consider is using an impact tool as a quote-unquote bayonet. Now listen to me, because I know that's a popular concept up there. So, you know, the grip this way, and then the idea is you're striking towards the midline. It's not that the midline strike is not valid or that the cane tip is not effective. It's when you use it as the primary move, then you're going to get in trouble. Why do I say that? Because this individual is likely younger, faster. That means reflexes. That means they can process. This is not a body opponent bag. So when you go to make your initial move, if you're in an altercation and you go to move here, look at what she just does. Instinctively, she can see that coming from a mile away. It's right up there with this. And so these midline strikes that I have to come up, doesn't matter to me if you have 2 hands on the cane, and then she can still do that. The better way of doing that is as a secondary movement, where whether it's a punch, it's there, now come here, and look at her hand, it's still there, but it's so much more difficult even if she were to put her hand on that to stop it once it's here. Did you see the angle? Did you see just the tight? If she were to grab this, watch what happens to her wrist. So I do this, I come in here, that's already going to be locked. Go ahead, I'm already to the midline. That's very different than trying to come out here and do this without. So the midline, valid, effective. Same thing when you're going to the midline with this holy grail of striking the groin. So you're here, you're going to move. Primary movements that are coming through here, she can see that. If she commits to an attack, better opportunity now, right? And it's not just to go, you take whatever's down here now, because now she's committed. She's focused here. When you give her distance and you show what it is you're trying to do, she's going to be better prepared. The third one, is the use of the horn and the crook, what the layperson refers to as the J handle on the cane. It's my opinion that this is the most misunderstood anatomy of the cane in self-protection. So this whole idea of a strike coming in, you're going to knock it down, and then you're playing horseshoe where you're going to take this and wrap it around the neck and go ahead and throw. I get calls, arcane clarity calls, all the time. We discuss all topics, and a hot topic, of course, is canes. Canes are cool, canes are fun, and especially when they come from cane masters. Beautiful work of art. But here's the thing. One of the questions that we get most often is, can I get that crook to be really wide? Well, why do you want that? Because I want it to fit around an assailant's neck. And immediately we point out that, no, you don't. This is not designed to fit for self-protection. You don't want that comfortably fitting around anybody's neck. This is designed to hook, rake, tear, to rip into. Think about that for a moment. And you can't be so accurate as to put it around, right? That's getting yourself in a heap of trouble. So let me show you a better way to do that. So in this kind of application, maybe where you're doing this, right? You're knocking this down, however it is you did, we call this an armadillo, came in here, you struck. Connect first, make contact. It's an impact tool. It seeks bone. In this case, on the clavicle, this fractures with about 7 to 12 pounds of pressure. So if I'm here and I say, hey, I don't want, bang. Now, what this is going to do once I make contact, when I take, see, she comes along with, it's designed to bite around the neck. It rakes, it rips, it collects DNA. And the thing about it is that you get in trouble when you're trying to finesse this whole thing, right, with it. The other use of it is for when an opponent somehow gets their paws around you. So what we refer to as a quick release response. What's the only good thing about this? I know where the hands are. That's the only good thing. When I go ahead and trap here, what I'm looking for is that I go ahead and refer to it as the nose, the end of that horn. That's what, you see, that's where it starts becoming effective, is when you can start drilling in here. Keep in mind, they're going to be jacked up on adrenaline. So help yourself with your body movement to move from there. That's how you would do it. And if all of a sudden you see that the release goes, right? So if she lets go, you need to move. She lets go because she's probably going to escalate with a tool. Whether that's the case or not, that's what you need to be thinking. Then this does come into play. See, because wood on bone hurts. You're using that horn and crook. Bam. That's the use of it, right? It's also very effective to hit. So you hit with the horn. You hook with the crook so that you don't forget it. How would you do it? Again, it's not an initial movement coming in here, right? If she were to throw that roundhouse punch, yeah, that vertical strike, absolutely. But you go ahead and partition. She puts her hands, open that up, take the back of the head, magnify it, right? It works. Very similar to what brass knuckles would be, right, when you're using this. So those are 3 self-defense applications or techniques with a cane. Commonly, under the duress of the moment, train yourself so that under the duress of the moment, you respond with applications that are going to give you the best opportunity to survive that situation, keep yourself safe, and your family.